Idea really.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can hear us, but he said stadium shot or like overview of the park for the native statement.
Yeah.
Broad shot.
Right. So then he said.
The Pacific Northwest is home to some of Ultimate's greatest hotbeds and rivalries, but it's never seen anything like this. Seattle's Cascades are joining forces with the Tempest to take on the stars of Onyx and Nitro. The winner gets to take home the inaugural Northwest Cup and a whole lot of bragging rights. Seattle and Portland square off in the Northwest Cup at stake.
Welcome to the inaugural Northwest Cup here in Portland, Oregon. We are at Providence Park, and I am Katie Killebrew here with Bobby Goff and Anthony Ziegler to cover this mixed matchup. Zig, what are you looking forward to on the Seattle side?
Seattle is a big Ultimate community, and I'm really excited to see the male matching and the women matching players come together on a big field.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a bigger field. It's 4 male matching players, 4 female matching players, something we haven't seen in Ultimate. Bobby, what are you looking forward to from the Oregon side?
Just creativity. It's another player which you never get to practice or try yourself. It's a new-ish kind of group playing together. Just creativity, something new and exciting.
It's going to be a great day. Usually they're used to the rain here in Portland, but not today on this crisp fall weather. We are going to show all sorts of exciting things on this perfect weather. In this 4-on-4 matchup, who are you looking to feature today?
Someone I'm really excited to watch is Drea Baroma. She showed a lot of promise in the Tempest season and wasn't able to play as much towards the end, but she has a lot of promise. And obviously the All-Star Zeppelin Ronig, he's out there going to play both games today. So there's a bunch of budding stars out here for Seattle.
Absolutely, and Bobby, you talked about the creativity of these Portland players. Who are you looking for to be that creative mastermind out there on the field?
Well, that is one character right here down in black, John Lee, one of the most creative and fun and silly players that we have here in Portland. I'm glad he's out here. I'm sure all of our locals will recognize him. Another player back there walking towards the camera, Kristen Roberts, one of our best female matching players in the city, no doubt, and she is a mixed player through and through. I think she is probably going to have just an outstanding day, at least on the stat sheet.
Yeah, one of the stats leaders for Onyx this year in the end zone all the time, something we're definitely looking forward to seeing today.
Welcome, everybody, and I just want to start off by saying the Portland area rests on the traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Calumet, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tulatane, Kalapua, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. Indigenous peoples have created communities and summer encampments to harvest and enjoy the plentiful natural resources of the area for the last 11,000 years. We want to recognize that Portland today is a community of many diverse Native peoples who continue to live and work here. We respectfully acknowledge and honor all Indigenous communities, past, present, and future, and are grateful for their ongoing and vibrant presence.
And as we take you down to the field at Providence Park, where our players are getting ready to play. There are a lot of excited faces there, and the audience is starting to fill in. Bobby, what does this event here in Portland mean to these local players?
Well, this is kind of an event that's been happening unofficially for a couple of years, but the new thing this year is that it's in Portland this time, and it's got an official capacity. Now, these are established teams now, established organizations, and it's just a fuller version of a relationship, a rivalry, a friendship, a competitive spirit between two cities, and it just feels great to have this little bit of extra polish on it.
Absolutely. One of the things I loved is that before this game started, this field was filled with youth players. There was a very big clinic held here, and we saw all of the Portland youth, ages 7, I think were the youngest, all the way up through high school age, really putting on a show. And that, I think, is speaking to the growth that you were talking about in this Portland community. Yeah,
and they were also lucky a bunch of the AUDL All-Stars were out here too, so a bunch of great people to learn from. And we've got a great organization down here, Portland Ultimate, that puts on things year-round. It's great to see them out here. It's great to see some products out here playing right now. And let's go down to the national anthem here.
As the players get ready to start this game, this first ever mixed matchup here in this Northwest Cup, we should probably tell you a little bit about what this game is going to look like. It might be a little bit different than Ultimate that you've seen before. Both of these teams are going to be playing 8 versus 8. 4 female matching players versus 4 male matching players. And there's a couple of new rules. What is the rule you're most excited about, Zig?
Really, the size of the field added along with the 8-on-8 concept. I really want to see how both sides decide to use the space and the extra person.
Yeah, usually Ultimate is 7v7, so this 8v8 is something that I have never seen. But I like that they're making that nod to equity, right? There are equal numbers of players from each gender matching on each side. We're getting to see the captains here doing a little flip to see who's going to start on which side. It looks like...
Drum roll, please.
Oregon is going to be there. One of my favorite rules is going to be the gender pulling. So each team is going to be alternating female matching and male matching pullers. What about you, Bobby? What is the rule that you're most excited about for this game?
Well, one thing I'll say as a mixed player myself, I'm excited that no one has to balance and signal out gender ratios. You just know it every single time. That's just makes everything way more fun and way more easy, way less heady. I was talking to Tim DeBile, who let me know that there's a sneaky little rule about trying to not allow cross-gender double teaming. Double teaming is allowed, but only, you know, 2 male matching players and 2 females, you know, marking the same. So I bet that might be a little tricky, a little funny for some people to start, but I'm sure they'll get the hang of it real quick.
I think maybe the rule set could be tricky because these players haven't played with this exact rule set, size field, etc. before.
Exactly.
But I think it might show us exactly what kind of players these are, right? Because both teams are going to have to adapt to this new rule set, this 8-on-8, new strategy. But really, players got to play. They're going to make the plays themselves, and we have our game officials on the field in their orange shirts to help the players facilitate, and they're going to be making active calls using a lot of the AUDL rule set.
One thing that I, being someone from Seattle, is like, this game unofficially has been in Seattle for a couple years now. One thing about seeing the youth down here is just seeing the growth of the sport in general. Regardless of gender, regardless of age, like there's a lot more interest now, and just to be here in Portland, like I've never really seen the youth scene in Portland. I'm really connected to the Seattle team, so I'm really excited to see that. And with this being the first game, like inaugural, which means there's going to be more.
Yep.
I just can't wait to see the growth of this cup.
It's very exciting to see this. We can hear a little bit of those huddles going on. Hearing players cherish those moments. It's a special opportunity to play in front of fans in a stadium like this. We are going to get ready for our inaugural poll, and we're going to see who they put on the line. Do you think your boy, Zeppelin Ronnick's going to get the nod here, Zig?
Doesn't look like it.
Well, he does have to play 2 games.
Yeah.
Maybe don't start with your foot on the gas pedal.
Maybe tippy toe.
Maybe tippy toe.
Yeah, so you can see Oregon there in the dark. That is JC Jones, number 10, who's going to be one of the players to watch in this game as well, known for putting on a defensive show. So I hope we get to see some fun layout blocks there from Jones. Oregon is going to be in dark. Seattle is going to be in light. There is a shadow across the middle of the field. We'll see if that plays into what's going on today.
Looks like very minimal wind right now.
And it looks like Portland is going to start on offense in this first quarter. We are playing 10-minute quarters today, so that game clock is going to play into advantage. But unlike the AUDL, we actually don't have buzzer beaters, so it will be whoever has possession at the end of that last quarter that will determine how it's. So keeping hold of the disc seems to be something that's important. Is that something that Oregon is good at doing, Bobby?
Well, they're good at getting it back, and I think that's what's important.
Are you looking to see some high-flying plays here as we get this first poll up?
I certainly am. I can tell by the players on Oregon's line here starting on offense that they are probably looking for the same thing.
And we are off. Quickly fielding the pole, Eisenberg has the disc. Stall count rising.
That was close to a 0-throw stall out there on the first possession.
I don't think that's how they wanted to start, but now they're moving the disc a little bit more effectively in space. Up that far side, now Kimber Coles with the disc. Back to Eisenbray.
It looks like Portland's doing a big horizontal.
And Eisenbray with the give and go from Zajon for the first Oregon score.
From the darkness into the light.
That shadow is no joke over there, but it didn't really seem to affect the players, maybe going back the other way into the sun. What did you see there, Bobby?
I was curious how, what kind of shape you would take with 8 players. And yeah, Zig, I think you nailed it. It's basically your traditional horizontal 3 handlers, just one extra player kind of squished on the far side away from the disc. And feels like a classic first point in a new style game, just running down the open side a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, but feeling it out, seeing what it's like to come out of the darkness over there. You can see everybody shielding their eyes, trying to figure out who they're going to guard.
You got to go back to basics, right? Sometimes we get a little bit fancy. We're talking about all the differences, but really that give and go clean offense is what you like to see. And now we're going to see, as this poll goes up, Seattle on their first offensive possession.
And right away, a little bit of a different strategy, a little more of a vertical look, and just one more player in that vertical stack. I think both options are probably going to be okay.
Bobbled by Lexi Garrity, giving Oregon another chance at this possession. And their first break chance, and it sails over the head and away. Quickly squandered there.
Our first pass into the sun, we have completed 0 passes going that way. Just a quick stat note.
Buy one, get one free on turnovers.
Jamie Erickson with the disc. Back to Garrity. With a nice inside give and go. Can't be contained. Seattle not using the small ball maybe in the way that they have in the past. Oregon now completes 3 throws into the sun.
I'm curious.
A layout D there.
PGL.
I'm sure it's going to be a little weird getting a block, having those 8 players trying to run a fast break. It might get a little muddy. As you can see, Portland hasn't really done anything after a turnover yet with 2 tries.
D-line hasn't had much chance to work together on their offense, as we would say. But Seattle looking a little frazzled as that stall count rises. Our stall count is 7.
PGL.
Erickson gets the disc to Garrity on the threshold of a score into space.
Hey. Dom Jacobs comes down with it.
It is Garrity to Jacobs for the score, and a maybe not clean, but as we would say, a dirty hold there for Seattle. What did you see there?
Maybe a little jitters, maybe trying to be a little too fancy with this new configuration, and then after a couple turns got straight back to the basics, like you were saying, Katie.
Yeah, the spacing felt a little better with that vertical look, and they finally got it over to the break side, first team to do that, and that lets you kind of just walk it in like that. So again, another kind of expected first or second point look, a couple turnovers, but another hold.
I think that the beginning of each game is a little bit hard to see how things are going to shape up. Everybody's starting to feel it out, ourselves included, how this is going to go. But we'll have to see basically who's going to really blink first.
Well, staring into the sun down there, I'm sure they're blinking all the time.
I think they're squinting. I don't know if they're blinking. Coles.
Ooh.
To Johnson. Backhand out to space. Reeled in by Brian Stout.
That was Worthington giving chase right there.
That was close on that front end zone corner, but you have players like Brian Stout who've been around for a long time, played in Seattle for a long time before coming and playing in Portland, and really being poised there on the end zone. We get another look at it out here.
Yeah, I basically always trust Shane Worthington to close a gap, but against that big size of Brian Stout, I understand the little pull-up there. That's a kind of a tough brick wall to run at.
Yeah, but also taking a safe angle is important. Yep. You want to make sure that you're always going in a place where you're not going to take out someone's knees or legs, even if they are a tree trunk of a human like Brian Stout, as his last name suggests.
You would not want to do that.
Elmi fielding the pole to Sue.
QB1.
To Kirkland.
Ooh.
Launches into the air. Reeled in.
Accuse me.
By Stillwell. Sue to Kirkland.
Ooh.
That was some quick work, really utilizing the female matching players there, Seattle, that give and go handler movement. Is that something they're known for, Zig?
Yes, definitely a lot of handler movement. And I think a strategy here is like trying to get away from any chance of any poach blocks from the mixed genders, keeping the male matching players downfield.
Well, if there's anybody who knows how to do that, it's Alexa Kirkland, longtime captain of Seattle BFG, one of the storied mixed teams out of Seattle, joining this Seattle Tempest / Cascades squad today. For there, we can see Garrity and Sue all looking into the sun to try to pick up matchups. Those players all just played 1 point. I wonder if we're going to see a different scheme here. Did you get any insider knowledge, Zig, of how Seattle was going to be calling lines today?
Oh, about calling lines, I have no idea. I'm excited to see, just like everybody here.
Pole lands out of bounds. It's going to be tapped in at that brick mark by Eisenbray.
Looks like Portland's running maybe a little bit of a, half the team O-line, half the team D-line. At least so far in these couple of points.
Oh.
That is a goal, and that was a Huck score to number 30, Sam Frainer.
All right, each point gives us a longer and longer throw so far. That's been working.
Yeah. Fewer tosses, more Hucks. That's exciting. I like watching that. Bobby, what did you see in that point?
Some good defense, leading to a higher stall, and what I think was probably not a scripted play to Sam Frainer, but the two players on that line, Sam Frainer and Kimber Coles, are just elite cutters who will, count the stall count themselves, and they'll just always give you something. And I'm sure John Snyder, the thrower, knew that as the stall was rising.
As those players have played in Portland a lot, is that something that cutters here are taught?
I wish it was something they were taught a little bit more frequently, but it really is like a game-changing kind of a skill. Like, sure, some of it's natural, being able to get open at will like that, but it's also very practiced.
Heidi with the disc.
A little flood play to Dominic.
Yeah, our first kind of like pull play with some real shape and movement there.
Using the full width is Seattle. Erickson on the end zone line. Not quite in. Game official signaling out, and they're on the doorstep. Seattle containing possession, moving back and forth.
Nice little swap there to prevent a give-a-go, a cross-gender little give-go switch, but then they're punished by not running it again.
That give-go switch leaves a player wide open in the end zone. I'm fairly certain that was Leander Ramirez with the score.
Yeah, our first little something of a defensive strategy. It's mostly been stay on your person, but finally a couple switches coming through. You can see there that the player inbounds, not in the goal. Always tricky to figure out is going on in that little corner over
Yeah,
there.
like when does he have possession? When, you know, I would have called that out too.
Good. It's been a interesting game so far. We are tied here at 3-3, and we have 6 different assisters, 6 different scorers, everybody using their full lines to score. We haven't seen a superstar step out, but maybe we'll see that as we get into later parts of this game. Oregon is off to the races, not waiting for that defense to set.
It's been a hold fest.
Yeah, and only 1 point that has included turnovers.
Signaled up by the game official. Really great defensive pressure by Seattle. Bidding all over the place was Erickson, but it is caught in the back of the end zone by Julia Sherwood.
Some great pressure there from Seattle. A nice bobbling catch and a nice extendo arms catch past a couple of bids.
Drea thought she got the block.
Aubrey Bishop to Sherwood, that Oregon Fugue connection, longtime teammates between Fugue and Schwa, really using that depth and knowledge of teammates to create that chemistry for a kick spike, which you gotta love that little bit of swag there from Julia Sherwood.
Just kicking it with your friends on a Saturday morning, you know?
I love the Aubrey Bishop, Jamie Erickson matchup. Two tall, long, fast players that might be the best playmakers on each team respectively, outbidding each other there.
Yeah, I also liked how the defensive pressure from Seattle was really ramping up in that point. We're seeing them learn their matchups, learn those possessions. And in a game that has this many holds, blocks are going to be even more valuable. But first, Seattle needs to get this one on the board to tie it back up. Sue with the disc in the middle of the field. Zeppelin Ronick to Alexa Kirkland. Sue unleashing that forehand. 2 bidding defenders in the way, but they score very quickly this time, Seattle.
That was tough. That was definitely like in the eyesight of the sun. It was probably hard to read because it was coming right over their head. And Zepp just able to, here it comes, yep.
Yeah, Portland, I don't know if they blew that coverage, kind of a little bit of a zipper play there from Seattle, or if they were intentionally kind of having 2 last backs who then shy away from running into each other. And a different look that, you know, resulted in something that seems look kind of boring, but it is some changes going on there, some subtle changes that are being toyed around with here early in the game.
Yeah, maybe just a miscue not having those defenders play together all of the time. We're tied up at 4s. Johnson fielding the disc to Stout. Zajon on the sideline.
Maybe the first backhand force of the game, so playing on this near side here for the first time.
Eisenbray, as always, good for that reset back to the center of the field. And a layout there from Jones, can't contain it, giving the Cascades and Tempest, the duo, their chance. A big disc going out long, run down, and that is a break for Seattle. Caught by Jamie Kaufman.
Chris Roach signature forehand hook connects deep to Kaufman.
Is that a connection you saw many times this past season?
At least a few. Well, that bid was really nice.
Yeah,
right there at the end.
On that turnover there, JC Jones kind of never open, tries her best to come down with that catch, but just great defense from Seattle. And then an opportunity to fast break with not all A players downfield, a ton of space to just take a chance like that. First blood drawn.
Kirkland's made a couple plays here.
Absolutely.
Sherwood into space. And expertly tracked down, I think that was Kaufman, who immediately throws it away. Oh, it wasn't Kaufman. I won't put that on him.
Roach.
Net gain for Oregon, finally getting that back to the middle. Jumped inbounds and signaled a goal for Connor Stillwell.
Nice footwork there from Stillwell to gain the end zone there, save a throw. Couldn't tell if that throw from Julia Sherwood was tipped or touched or just came out a little funny. That looked like a little bit of a piece there from Charlie Eide.
That was majestic.
A
flying roach.
Secure layout catch block. Woo!
Exciting stuff, seeing himself on the big screen behind on the scoreboard. That's a good hold, I think, for Oregon. They almost turned it over. It could have been a really big momentum shift, but now they've got it back even. They're going to need a break in this game, which hopefully they'll get right now as they start on defense.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to survive a turnover after you get broken.
It's like Eide to Elmi, those female matching players anchoring the backfield for Seattle.
Something a little junky down here for the Portland defense. I think just to start as it leans into a person.
Not able to be contained, floating almost out of bounds and over the head of Erickson. Oregon now going to get this break opportunity as they get it off the line.
First Seattle turnover from their offense in a while.
Timeout.
First time out of the game.
Looking to get that break back.
We're getting another look at that turn where it just floated over the heads and then not being Jacobs there just a little bit late.
Yeah, despite there not being a ton of wind, there is a little bit of a shelf of a stadium effect when the disc gets high enough. You won't feel it on your body when you're down in the field, but maybe the wind kind of playing around with that disc a little bit, because you see both players run under it, but then it kind of drifts back and kind of lands inbounds. Kind of catchable. But it's funny to be under the disc down there.
It was a little bit weird, and that sometimes happens when you get excited players putting throws up. This timeout means that they can sub players. As a coach, how do you like that rule?
I think it's I love it. I think it's very interesting. I'm not sure the best version of using it, but from what I've seen, you kind of just use your timeouts to do that. And I think it works well. Just, just get your group that's good on offense out there if you're on offense now after a block. It makes sense, but it's also a little tricky, and you can get a little overheady about it.
Sometimes there is such a thing as too much thinking in ultimate, but it looks like Oregon is going to come back in. Eisenbray now with the disc in the middle, having made a couple of substitutions.
A little split stack.
Out to Jones.
Nice little switch in there downfield from Seattle. Stops the bleeding.
Smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
A little orchestrating.
Moving the disc back and forth. Johnson with it. Not really moving the disc much upfield, back and forth until Stout unleashing one deep out to Kristen Roberts. Can she bring it in? No. Floating just out of reach.
Ran out of real estate.
So Seattle is going to get another look at this one.
Ooh, a double.
Our first double team. At least keeps the disc on the sideline.
Double teams are allowed here. We talked about it at the beginning. Bobby had said that they allowed same gender match on the double team. Oregon using it, maybe not getting the turn on the double team, but certainly getting that with the pressure. And now they're going back the other way. This would be a break for Oregon. Roberts putting it out there. And it looks like Jones in pursuit, and the snag in the back of the end zone for JC Jones.
Wow.
That was an expert rundown in that. That was such great layouts. We talked about layouts at the beginning. We talked about her defense, but really showing her offensive prowess there on that catch.
Yeah, the game really opening up now. We've had our first timeout line switch. It didn't work. It leads into our first double team.
And that is a break back. And a back-breaking catch there almost from Jones.
Better call the chiropractor.
I need an adjustment, sir, after that. This is the ultimate I wanted to see. Both of these teams are so capable of making those highlight reel plays, and they seem to start getting on the same page here. Again, Oregon on D, Seattle wanting to calm things down and score on this possession, centering to Sue.
Yeah, and I love the variety of players who have been involved in all these players. It's the whole roster, it's all genders. It's been really balanced, as you can tell by the scoreboard.
Clock running down, disc in the air, and it is now in the hands of Oregon. So this is going to be possession ending. So either Oregon keeps possession until they score, or Seattle will get this, but it's not going to be stopped by the clock. Back to Stout, who sends it long to the end zone. For Stillwell, but Stillwell cannot bring it in. That's going to be the end of the quarter.
Ooh.
Oregon almost had a chance to go up by 2, but it is 6 for Portland to 5 for Seattle.
Trading breaks here.
Yeah, a little weird mistake there. Turning it over with a second or two left on the clock so that the other team just has another entire possession. Obviously, that's not something you're probably ever thinking about at any point in your career until this little moment. So, lucky to escape there with a hold there from Seattle.
Welcome back to our coverage of the inaugural Northwest Cup. You just saw about our coverage on the WUL. That is owner and playmaker JC Jones from Portland Onyx. And the coverage we're able to provide here is of spectacular plays like that, and all of the other WUL teams is provided by y'all. So we are doing this fundraiser so that we can keep providing high-level coverage, keep it free and accessible to people out there, give it to the youth, really let people see what we're creating in this professional sports place, and especially with opportunities like this. This game, this mixed matchup, is really unique in sports because the owners of the Cascades and Tempest and the owners of Nitro and Onyx are really coming together to give us this mixed game, which is unique. I've never seen it in basketball, I've never seen it in any other sport, and it's really something special that we get to bring you, and that kind of coverage only comes from support from fans like you. So thank you for sticking with us. With myself, I'm Katie Killebrew. I'm here with Bobby Goff and Zig out of Seattle. What did you see, Zig, in that first quarter?
In the first quarter, I saw a lot of tinkering with different configurations, how to use the space, how to use the people on the field, and it's cool. It's kind of like a chess match out there on the turf.
Yeah, well, on that shot, that is Jennifer Norris, one of the board members for the WUL, having previously played with Los Angeles Astra, now moving to the Seattle area. And as one of my former teammates, I miss her, but I am glad that she gets to bring that kind of enthusiasm for the sport and organizing and get to see her play on this kind of level. And it's support for players like, as I know her, Jennifer Norris, that makes this special. And we're off into the second quarter. Sue picking up. We're seeing a different look from Seattle, a little bit wider compared to their vert stack. And a big shot going up into space.
Zeppelin Ronig
dishes it back to Garrity. Flirting on the end zone line there, but not finding space. Stall count is rising. Garrity with the smart dish backwards.
Some nice help defense to save a goal there, but now Portland scrambling.
Sue to Kirkland. Again, that dynamic duo working together. They are BFG teammates, and they are teammates on the scoreboard today.
Kirkland putting up numbers out here.
Yeah, another, again, I think it's kind of intentional, a little bit of a poachy like last back there. But they see Zepp running deep, and they just throw it over these defenders. It's worked 2 times in a row here.
That's true. There is a difference, I think, between these teammates in that this AUDL field is very large. So there's spaces where maybe you're used to seeing them, but you can't get that coverage here on this big field. Ronig doing really good job to get that deep space. Clean hold for Seattle after a little bobbles out of that end of that first quarter. Now they're on defense, heading the other direction. Johnson to Snyder. Zajon can't quite contain it, giving Seattle a short field.
Ooh, almost gets it back.
Toad in the end zone, run back in field, and goal for Seattle for the break.
As Dante Lopez Escarez.
That's 2 points in a row where was a ton of pressure on the first throw options, like immediately. Maybe a little more energy here from players, or a couple better pulls, and it just creates this little bit of pressure and makes you hit a little bit sharper of a throw, and Oregon couldn't do it there.
And the excitement there from Lopez Escarez. I love seeing players.
Nice pace, nice space, nice patience. A nice, boring little low point, which is what Portland severely needed.
Especially after a break.
Yeah.
Portland has been responding after turnovers pretty well today.
I agree. I think Portland has been playing just a little bit fast and out of players talking amongst themselves about how those points are going. We're seeing both of these teams make adjustments, but Oregon Onyx has taken the lead for the moment, 8-7. Seattle back in the hands of Sue, who also launches a flick huck, but it is read by Stillwell. Back to Sherwood. They have a long way to go on this big field, but they're starting to eat up yards. Stillwell. Austin Kelly. Egan. Stillwell over the top, cheeky, and Egan reels it in. I was wondering when we were gonna see that trademark Oregon over the top throw, and there it is, cementing Oregon's lead and a break to bring them up 9-7.
Yeah, from our bird's eye view up here, looked like throwing a disc into just a barrel of Seattle players, but it fights its way through. Oof, just barely.
I think it was throwing into a barrel of Seattle players. I think we saw it exactly right, but Rachel Egan did not look fazed by that at all.
They can't knock it down if they don't know it's coming.
And that, I think, was the first clean break we've seen from Oregon. We've seen them give it away a couple of times, and but not on that possession. They were much more patient until they found that tiny spot of Egan in the end zone surrounded by defenders.
Yeah, the first time Seattle's deep pull play didn't end up working out. The first time Portland could hold on to the disc after a turn, and
a foul on the mark brings the yardage penalty up, signaled back in by our game officials. ID unmarked, putting it out into space, but out of bounds. And out of the hands of Seattle. It looks like we're gonna get John Lee, the captain, to pick up. Kelsey Salvo saving it barely is Lee.
Timeout.
Very aggressive whistling from our game officials for that timeout call.
a very thankful John Lee trapped on the sideline there, giving the old thumbs up for the coach's timeout.
Good call, coach.
Good call, coach.
Yeah, because if it goes into more than 7 seconds, it would be a turnover. But with the timeout call, it will also reset the stall count. Very smart. So you can change all your players and get a fresh 7, as we would say.
Yep, which it looks like Oregon will do here. Looks like 8 entirely new players here for Portland. Seattle making some changes as well, but not everybody.
It's just such a...
And this is Portland's coach, Amir Kagaswala, coming from Cleveland area where he spent a lot of time playing and coaching with Smokestack and a couple other teams. His first time coaching with this group, but seems like he's got the timeout management down well.
Using those rules to his advantage as we come back to play.
It didn't show up on here, but on TV. Big time catch. That's why they're leaving it up so long. It's a little awkward sometimes, I guess.
And we're also hearing from Yuli Rivera, the head coach of Seattle as well. And we're back in action. Oregon looking for their 3rd break in a row. Using the width, Eisenbray tracks down that floating throw.
Kimber Coles waving her teammates off to clear space.
And John Snyder, who started in the handler space, up for the score. And the 3rd break in a row for Portland.
Yeah, maybe our first back-to-back breaks of the game, our first connection of breaks, our first little bit of a run that somebody has gone on so far.
And it is impacted. It's certainly our biggest point lead in the game Snyder was one of the captains for Nitro this year, and you can see Coles putting it out, and this absolute, as we'd say, buttery biscuit into that back corner for Snyder.
John Snyder.
I love seeing this. You can see teammates starting to have a little bit of fun with each other, and that joy seems to be what's going on. We'll see if Seattle can find theirs. Zig, what are you seeing?
One thing that I'm really seeing is a lot of the Tempest players are handlers, so I think it just makes more sense to have them with the ball mostly. And they haven't really played with these Cascade players, so working out the kinks here in the first half. We'll see how it progresses.
We still have more time. Ronig with the disc. Just over 3 minutes left on the clock.
Ooh.
Into space and not able to be reeled in by Elmi. Elmi tapping her chest, signaling that was my bad. As you said, they're working out the kinks. I bet they don't do that again. I think that next one will probably be a completion. But now Seattle will have a full 80 in order to try to get a D here and preserve their offensive position.
Yeah, I think that disc maybe was playable, but also staring straight into the sun. Kind of hard to decide to leave your feet.
Jamie Erickson picking Aubrey Bishop's pocket, giving Seattle back the disc as they move it quickly around the field.
Chidi.
Charlie Eide with the disc. Ronig, similar spot on that end zone line. Doesn't flub it this time. It is in the hands.
That's that Cleveland to Franklin connection. To Seattle, South Seattle's finest right there.
That was a good connection. Ronig on the scoreboard, stopping the bleeding as it were, and putting Seattle back on the board. It's been a while since they've scored.
Yeah, and that's a really nice dirty hold for them. I think Portland was trying to force the cutters deep, and there were a couple of breakaway chances to throw something huge. Seattle pretty clearly decided not to try that at this point, and it worked out for them. It's nice to try to change up your pace a little bit and to be able to punch it in, you know, even if it's a little dirty.
A little dirt don't hurt.
Don't hurt.
Dominic Jacobs on the pull.
Fielded again by Eisenbray. To Johnson. Eisenbray. Snyder back in that backfield using the width. Zajon signaling that she is wide open. Almost collision there with Kirkland, who was searching for the D, not able to get it. Johnson on the end zone line to Eisenbray. That give and go to the kick spike. The handlers working it up, a full team possession all the way to the end zone, making it look clean and easy, but it is certainly not.
They really don't want to hit you on that. It's so funny. Yes.
Yeah, and you're seeing the kind of advantage that this super wide field gives you. As Snyder lets that disc come farther and farther and farther wide, it creates this big alleyway. Yeah, it's the open side, but you've had to run 40 yards to try to cover it the whole way. So you can just ride that sideline if it's extra farther away.
And we're saying the same names over and over again, but there are really elite cutters, like we talked about, Kimber Coles in the back, who are creating space by taking up defensive positions. Seattle really likes poaching. They're really good at poaching. We saw Alexa Kirkland almost get that poach block, but creating space is really important here. And we're going to see if they can create enough space on their offensive possession to keep it going.
Yeah, and Seattle's still playing around with their pull play shapes, which I think is great. Keep it fresh, keep trying new things, keep using all these space and all these players.
Norris, back to Moore. Sue to Moore with the fake.
Kenny in the lane.
Oh. Kirkland. And Sue to Kirkland. That is their third connection of this game, making that patty cake look easy.
A little bump check.
Little check.
You know, this is MySpace too. Shout out MySpace.
Maybe we go back to MySpace when Twitter goes down, guys. What do you think?
I'm down.
I'm not gonna lie, my MySpace was good, but I think all of us knowing about MySpace certainly ages us, and these players are certainly playing in a better space than that. This Kirkland and Sioux connection, I think, is something that Oregon is actually going to have to shut down. When they're on the field, they score. When that other line is on the field is when Oregon is getting their breaks. And Kirkland and Sioux are two very difficult players to stop. Still within 2. Oregon looking to get a hold and extend their lead a little bit more.
Yeah, both teams still clearly trying new things, figuring things out. So as the teams overall go through these patterns, these individual players and combos and connections and trios are also still learning and getting better.
Johnson to Coles. This Oregon side has touched both sidelines. I think a foul signaled there on that poach block attempt. Eisenbray with the inside backhand to Coles, just outside the end zone. No problem in there to Roberts. And it is Coles and Roberts for the score.
Yes, better defense there from Seattle, able to kind of put a lid on the play rather than Portland just running away with it. Got the stall high.
They were really attacking the seam right there. Portland was.
Greta Eisenbray just using one of her many strengths and breaking the mark, stepping out long and wide, making something happen.
Those two are Kirkland on this line. We'll see if you're right.
So it looks like there are 12 seconds left on the clock. Just as a reminder, this is a possession-ending game. So when that clock runs out, whatever team has it will have the end of that possession to try to score. Seattle is going to have the ball first, and that clock is starting to tick down.
Seattle will have it last.
And Seattle will have the last word in this quarter. Either they will score or Oregon will deny them, bringing it within 2. Eide out on the far side to Erickson.
I hear some whistles. Maybe the stall getting too high over there.
I'm seeing a timeout signaled.
I believe before that
Fascinating
throw
call.
happened.
A timeless timeout call as we are out of time. But they will still continue in this possession as we see the Seattle team coming together to figure out what they're going to do in this red zone possession. Zig, what are you expecting from a Seattle red zone possession?
I'm expecting a little small ball working it side to side, and maybe Dominic Jacobs or Jamie Erickson breaking free and scoring.
That's who you'd put your money on, Jamie Erickson?
Jamie Erickson, yeah.
No. Read the rule book. He said whistle was. Did you hear what he said, though?
That's possession, right?
And after we come back, we're going to get a word with one of the coaches, probably Portland, to see what they have to say, what they were making in these timeout decisions and all that kind of stuff, as we see Seattle looking to find out what happens next. I'm on the edge of my seat. All right, so we we are hearing from the sideline that this might actually be the end of possession. In the rule book, because it's the end of possession and they called timeout, they may not actually get to continue this possession. So they're talking through the rule set to see what it is. And that's one of the things that happens when you play with games like this, is which is why I always tell my players they need to read the rules, because small instances of rules like this can have a big impact on games like this.
In the AUDL, so you guys need to agree to whatever, how we're going to handle that. There was no turnover, so in theory we play out the possession.
Yeah, I was just calling it this because I saw that.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're good with coming in off the timeout and maybe one more possession, finishing that out.
Yeah,
okay,
still
that's the way we'll handle it.
Yep,
Sounds good. Thanks, Earl.
And coaches, they're talking with the game officials about how that is going to work. And that's exactly what we like seeing. It looks like Seattle is going to get this possession coming back in here as we see them set up. That's a little confusing, but in the end, I think we always want to see players make plays.
Yeah, I don't think any like subs happened, and maybe the timeout didn't officially happen is what ended up coming to play here. We just get to play.
Lane to Idy, who dishes it out. Can't see there in the glare of the sun, but it looks like it was PGL for the score.
So a little bit of a weird end there to the quarter. But the game remains close. Portland 12, Seattle 10.
And when we come back, we will have our coaches' interviews for you to get more insight on the game when we return. Welcome back. We are here with the coach of Oregon, Kagaswala. It is good to hear you. What adjustments did you make in that first half?
I think it's looking at their deep game. They've been doing a lot of deep balls, so just having a last back has helped us out a lot. I know Connor Stillwell's made a couple big plays there to help out. Josh Moore was putting a lot of pressure on them, and then obviously our female match have done a great job of bottling them up.
You guys went on a really big run of breaks in that second half. What were you talking to your defensive lines?
You know, just mix things up. Don't let them do the easy thing. Make them move the disc around and make throws that are highly pressured. Don't ever give them the same look twice is what we're trying to do.
And what advice are you going to give your team? What tactical adjustments might you make in this second half?
You know, just keep having fun. I think that's the strength of basically Portland Ultimate, is just to have fun out there, make plays, and just enjoy the time you have together.
Perfect. Thank you for your time. We look forward to the second half as we come back with more coverage in a minute.
Welcome back, and we have another interview for you with Coach Yuli Rivera for the Seattle side. Coach, how's it going? How do you feel that first half went for Seattle?
It's going well. It's interesting. This is a rare opportunity. It's a great opportunity to play a mixed showcase game like this with 4 on each gender. So good half. We have to make some adjustments. They're starting to make their own adjustments, so now we have to make some different switches on our part.
Yeah, y'all were able to get a couple breaks early on, and then they kind of went on a run. What's something you're going to tell the team when you get back in there?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of the game, our defense was really on point there. We gave ourselves opportunities. I think the best thing we did was we gave ourselves space. We created space for each other and really isolated our playmakers. Portland did a great job adjusting to that and creating those poaching lanes. And now we're not getting those clean looks anymore.
Cool, and yeah, what does it mean to be out here this first inaugural Cup game?
Yeah, it's special, right? This is a great place to play in. It is amazing to be able to partner with the WUL and play with the Tempest. They're an amazing group of people and athletes, so this is just a special opportunity that we're not taking for granted.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, support the WUL campaign.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Yes.
Awesome. Supporting our campaign is also the people supporting from the sideline. And this kind of fan support you can't get anywhere else but Portland in this amazing Providence Park. We are going to take a break, but we will be back with more action in our second half.
Welcome back to Portland, Oregon. We're so excited to have you here again in our wonderful city. And I'm especially excited again to be a part of showing off our version of the sport and Seattle's version of the sport and a new mixed version of the sport on this kind of huge stage, which is probably the biggest stage we have here in Portland, where the Timbers and Thorns play and win championships.
Exactly, Providence Park on this really pristine weather day for Portland. It's maybe a little bit cold for my Los Angeles blood, but I think everybody else is enjoying the reprieve from oncoming winter. As we've been playing this 8v8 mixed game, an exhibition match, the first inaugural Northwest Cup, and it has been an absolute, I would say, slugfest between these two teams. We have seen excellent defense. We have seen really big layouts. I think that JC Jones layout is going to live rent-free in my head for the rest as I remember and look back on this game. But we are getting started off in this second half with ID pulling and Oregon starting on offense. They are currently up 12-10. Eisenbray centering the disc, being a stalwart handler for this Oregon side.
Jinkies.
Yeah, I think the second half is kind of a blank slate. The sun has basically disappeared. You're not coming out of a warm-up, you're coming out of a locker room. You might be cold, you might be rustier. You had time to talk. Could see anything happen here.
Snyder on the sideline, getting it free and tippy-toeing in the edge of the end zone there is Sam Frainer.
A little bit of a stumble there from a Seattle defender. Still a nice touch in space on the throw.
And that is another connection between those two. We've seen some good connections between players, but Frainer really making an impact there. I like the awareness to tippy-toe in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Very grounded, that one.
Yeah, I bet he's a great dancer too. Footwork like that.
Well, I would ask him to prove it in his next celebration, if so. If someone can get him word, I would like to see a little bit more dance move celebrations from the tiptoeing Frainer. They are now up, putting Oregon up 13-10 over the Cascades. It is a little bit of a line change up. We're seeing Sue and Heidi on this line. Erickson going deep all the way there and falling to the end zone. That shadow may have gotten in her way, but it is a turnover for Seattle. And Oregon, if they can go the full 80, they will put them up by 4, the biggest difference we've seen so far in this game.
Yeah, a little bit of a back shoulder throw there, just a couple of feet away from the big playmaker. Let's see if they can get it back.
Sherwood with the disc.
They've had a couple dirty holds today.
Dirty hold might be my new favorite terminology, but if they score this one, it would be clean. And it is to Bishop in the end zone with the hammer over the top. The double kick spike there from Sherwood in celebration.
This Portland team's finding their groove here after a turnover.
I wonder if they practiced the kick spikes in preparation for this game. They're on point with the kick spikes, but really it is this throw over the top into space, oceans away from anybody else. That throw from Austin Kelly to Aubrey Bishop. Aubrey Bishop is one of the many number 24s. I think I've never called a game with 4 24s on the field before, but as each player is retaining their number from their respective pro team, 24 proving popular.
Wow.
Sherwood joyous with that score.
Yeah, our first upside down throws of the game. Scuba that last point, a hammer the point after. Let's see if Seattle can get in on that fun. Try something a little different.
Gotta check the bag.
Garrity getting back, a little stumbling happening, or just wanting to run with one leg. Hard to tell. Back to Sue. A little bit of stagnation upfield, but Sue to Kirkland proving good for them. Garrity also right on the sideline now. Back to Sue. And to Garrity. I might just say 2 names in this. No, I won't. I'll say more. Bodies fallen as everyone runs really hard. Back to Sue on the far sideline. Seattle using the full width, and then a dagger to the end zone with that inside break to Lexi Garrity.
Sue is such a dynamic thrower. That step into that forehand fitted right into the window. That's tough stuff.
Tough stuff.
It is really tough to stop. I would say that's one of the first time we've actually seen Lexi Garrity in the end zone. Normally a player who is known for her nose for the end zone, really making space, maybe having been shut down, but finally finding a groove there in the end zone. I hope we see more of Lexi Garrity. She's such a fun player to watch in terms of space that she creates.
Very vibrant smile as well. Look at that.
Absolutely, and we can see that Seattle's doing the same thing that they did in the first half, where they're using the same lines back to back, probably to get a little bit more chemistry with those lines, wouldn't you say, having these teams never having really practiced together?
Yeah, that definitely could be like strike while the iron is hot type of mentality.
Or you only have to learn 7 other players as opposed to 16 other players. Inside from Eisenbray to Coles. Coles making herself easy to find in those pink cleats.
And I spy a new player on the field here for Portland, Rafi Hayes, who spent the first half warming up on the sideline.
Rafi Hayes is also going to be featured in the AUDL All-Star Game, which is at this stadium after this. There's a couple of players who are doing double duty, but that was a defensive block for Seattle, a sorely needed one by Dante Lopez Escaraz. And then we see Elmi picking it up and bleeding it to the end zone for Baroma. That female matching connection for Seattle. We were almost lulled to sleep, and they were hunting in the waters of that Oregon. I can see Zid is absolutely coming out of his chair with excitement after that one.
That's Icky with the flicky to Drea Baroma. Come on.
Yeah, one of the only backfield turnovers. Lets Seattle just walk up with only 10 yards to go. Just a one-throw score.
And
That's
that is a break
huge
for Seattle. A very much needed one to bring them back in within 2.
Woo!
I'm not gonna lie, Zig, I like seeing you get excited about this. Seeing players you care about making big plays. I know you coach in the Seattle youth scene, and you've talked about Zeppelin Ronig, but seeing other players out there gets you fired up, and that gets me fired up. We'll see if Oregon is fired up after they had that uncharacteristic turn in the backfield, trying to make this offensive a clean score here. Seattle playing a very poachy defensive scheme, but finally paying off as it creates a miscue. Elmi again picking up immediately and moving the disc. Knows that time is not on their side in this. Eide to Erickson. Up into the air over 2 defenders.
Chris Roach goes upstairs.
Chris Roach with the score, and that is Erickson to Roach, the first time we've seen that connection. And a much more poised offensive possession there from this specific Seattle line. We saw them struggling a little bit in the first half, and they are connecting on all cylinders here.
I think the realization that this is a rivalry, like Seattle versus Portland is a real thing. These two cities have been competing for decades now, at least 50 years. So just bragging rights. You know, second half starts, it's time to ratchet up some intensity. I think Seattle's brought it this second half.
And but speaking of ratcheting up, we're back within one. And the crowd is starting to get into it. In this stadium, even though they may be small, they are mighty and very loud. Almost a run through D there. Eisenbray poised and moves it out to Stout, but intensifying defensive pressure from Seattle, threading the needle to Eisenbray.
Yeah, and after those 2 breaks, you can just feel a different energy in the crowd and in the players. Maybe some tight shoulders here on the Portland side.
Okay, we felt it out now. Now it's time to play, you know?
We know the matchups. They've seen each other play. It is Eisenbray to Roberts, but we've seen a little bit longer on each hold for players, and a pick or a miscue, some sort of miscommunication, puts the disc in Seattle's hand. Sue wastes no time picking it up, moving it to Eide, who puts it out into space. Physical play, but ultimately caught and signaled as a score for Jamie Kaufman, and Seattle goes on a run, an absolute defensive tear, and they are all tied up here at 14s in the 3rd quarter. I don't know if that's what I expected to happen as we came back into this half. I'll tell you what, that's a big momentum shift.
Yeah, that's not what happened when this half started, with a hold and a break from Portland to start. But I think that first break, that blade flick, kind of just gives everyone on Seattle permission to throw something of their own, kind of green lights the whole team, takes the pressure off, and they've kind of just been chucking it with some chest throws, and it's led to 3 straight breaks.
Yeah, you can see it on the energy in the sideline too. We see some fist bumps and a little bit more free moving, jokey action. And then if we looked at the Portland side, it's very concentrated, stoic together. And Portland is back on offense. They're gonna have to make a decision. There is a whistle blown.
Offside?
Or potentially a travel. I did not see. I was talking about the sidelines. All right, offside call from the far game official, which puts the disc into the reverse brick position, which they'll find eventually. I think it's probably marked by that circle, but they're going to bring it in this position. It's not an envious position. I certainly wouldn't want to be there.
Nope.
But that's the rule as it's written, and we're gonna get signaled back live here as they go from even deeper in their end zone to try to contain this offensive position. Bishop bidding from Sherwood's throw, not able to be contained. Seattle again with the disc.
ALE, Aiden Lopez Esquez, gets it up.
Big disc going up, and Sue, who has thrown most of the assists in this game, comes down with the score. This has been an absolute change from the beginning of this half. Seattle has gone on a 5-goal run. That last one going to Sue, but we're gonna get to take a look at their journey in this momentum shifting 3rd quarter here in the Northwest Cup for Seattle's first lead in a long while.
And for that one too, like Sue's normally the one throwing the goals.
Yeah, Seattle completely just opening things up. Portland building that lead slowly, and Seattle just taking it all back and then some. They're now up 1 single break overall in this game. But I'm sure it feels much worse than that for Portland down here.
And with those short times in between points, Oregon doesn't really get a chance to think about what's happening. Snyder to Zajon as they're working down the field. Eisenbray on the doorstep and floats it to Jones, making it look easy after what was a tidal wave of Seattle scoring. It is JC Jones bringing it back.
Yes, Sam Frainer there unmarked for a while. Kind of maybe a little confusion on Seattle's end, which is just a huge break for Portland. Not gifted a free goal here as the pressure came back, but took a little bit of the decision-making process off their shoulders. Ooh.
It was close there at the end, but Eisenbray able to find the hole to Jones, and we are tied up at 15 goals apiece. This is the first time we've seen an Oregon defensive possession in a while, and they will want to stop the momentum of Seattle as much as they possibly can. Eide into space. Inside to Ronig. Elmi. I love Elmi's flick throws, so precise. Now we're out here on the sideline with PGL. Much smoother possession than we've seen, but a big defensive layout there from Oregon. Sought to end it, but Seattle retains possession after the crowd and my heart ended up in my throat a little bit there, and Ronig under that defensive pressure can't contain the throw. Immediately going the other direction is Oregon, reeled in. Stillwell on the end zone line. No one else even close.
I think Ronig here tried to ask for an injury sub.
It is an injury there called by Ronig after that possession. It was a big possession here, and you can see here, this was a defensive block that made all of our hearts jump into our throats, but it was this possession here, defensive pressure, that just made Ronig make a mistake, and then getting the injury call. It looks like players are going to filter in, and it's going to be Stillwell with the disc just outside of the end zone in what would be a Portland break. Moving the disc, not a lot of clear options. Handler's moving it.
Yeah, Portland taking on the Nitro end zone set, which is kind of really spread out along the back line, which is a different look. Probably not one they're all used to, and it leads to maybe a little timeout call. Talk about it.
Yeah,
that stall count was certainly rising.
Seattle definitely clamped up right there after the deep connection there.
I feel like I need a breather after all of those scores. I can't even imagine what it feels like down there for the coaches and players. It's sometimes really hard to play through those momentum shifts.
As we get a little break here, y'all can go check out the WUL donation link and contribute to the future of this league here. WUL, crazy.
The Western Ultimate League giving commentators like us and crews like this one opportunities to bring you games like this. It was a back and forth battle, but to have it tied at 15s at this point, the momentum is shifting yet again, I would say. And as the crowds start to filter in for the AUDL All-Star Game, they are getting a little bit feistier on that far sideline over there. You love to see a crowd get involved.
Onyx has to do with the earth. Cascades is a mountain. A little shift could be an eruption.
Ooh. Picking the pocket was Heidi.
Portland bringing in their offensive players after a timeout, but Seattle leaving their line in. Oh.
A hammer to no one after that give and go, buttery passes.
The flow is looking good for the fast break. It is interesting to see all these people moving. 16 people running down the field all at once.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it in a while, but there is usually only 7 versus 7, 14 players. So there's a whole extra pair of players out there that these players are trying to deal with as they make connections. Eisenbray goes to the ground, but can't keep possession. Heidi to Elmi.
Hats are flying, bodies are flying, discs are flying.
Lane to Erickson in the middle of the field. And it is a layout D for number 30, Sam Frainer, who tries to calm things down with that hand gesture. After that electrifying bid, Eisenbray in the middle to Zajon. Back to Eisenbray. Unleashes Frainer in pursuit, 2 defenders, and Seattle is the victor in that match, denying Oregon the break opportunity and score, and they are back on offense right on their own end zone line. It looks like also time ran out. So many things happened in that possession. I lost view of the clock as we were going.
Tough to keep track of all of these things all at once.
It is when we have play that is exciting as this. I'm watching the players and not the clock, and I'm sure that they were too. But our game officials are on top of it. They put 10 seconds back on the clock. So it is going to be a Seattle possession, unless they turn it over right here.
That's the end.
Snyder has it, but it didn't come. The D did not come soon enough. So they deny Seattle scoring, but cannot cement the break. It is all tied up at 15. It feels like that point may have gone on for an eon, but that is a very exciting end to our third quarter here. And we will take a break and see you back here in 1 moment.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Portland, Oregon. That is what we're fighting for here today. The Northwest Cup inaugural first game is happening right now. After that Seattle Avalanche in the third quarter, it's anybody's game. It's 15-15, and I'm excited to see what's to come.
Exactly. We have 10 more minutes of gameplay to decide this. And I'm not going to lie to you, I lifted that cup earlier. It is hefty. It is certainly a prize worth fighting for. And I think that we can feel the intensity of this game amping up. Bobby, what were you seeing on that field in that last quarter?
A lot of tension from the Portland side, a lot of smiles from the Seattle side, which is kind of the inverse of the first half. I'm seeing Kristen Moore not wearing her jersey, so maybe some injuries wearing down. Who knows if Ronig's coming back into the game. He looks like he's walking pretty gingerly down here on the near sideline. So a lot of changes on the field, some changes to the rosters, and it's just about either getting back on the horse or staying on the horse if you're Seattle.
And Seattle with their first offensive possession to start, which means Oregon is going to need a break to score. Stall count rising. Sue looks unruffled as she moves the disc back.
Yeah, and kind of a weird small note in that last quarter was the Seattle offense didn't have a lot of success. It was their defense making the change, but now all their offense has to do is come out here and walk it in.
And the female matching players are making themselves felt in the end zone. That is Kirkland to Norris. Kirkland, I think, is our stats leader for this game with at least 4 scores and 2 assists.
Yeah, exactly what you need there if you're Seattle. Nothing fancy, nothing close.
Seattle, let's ride.
Zeke is ready. Is that what you expected more? We saw a little bit of a different look from Seattle at the beginning. They didn't look like themselves. Is this a Seattle that you know, love, and respect?
Oh,
represent?
Yeah. This is definitely what I was expecting more out of Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that 8th player on the field might just be leading to a little broader and more variety and chances for big weird runs like this to happen and big weird plays, even on the first pass to an open player.
Like a 7-on-7 is usually open, but that extra person could just pop up out of nowhere like, oh, snap.
Oh, snap is right, but we see the same Oregon handlers moving it. That's Eisenbray to Cole. Snyder also in the backfield, really anchoring that line. To Johnson. Blading flick out to Frainer on the doorstep and decides to go over the top to Stout for the score.
When in doubt, go to Stout.
Indeed, indeed, and that is the fun over-the-top things we saw when Oregon was at the Blazers halftime show. I don't think I've seen a more virtuoso, I can't say the word, but it was a virtuoso performance of scoobers and hammers in that performance, and that's what we like to see in the end zone. And it's tied. It's tied again at 16. This is what I wanted from this game. This is what I wanted.
Speaking of the Blazers, man, we want the Sonics back. Bring their Sonics back so we can have that rivalry back as well.
Bring back the Sonics, put a W team in Portland. Let's expand this rivalry.
Yeah, I'm with it.
I'm from LA and we love our rivalry with San Francisco. I hope you get more of it because it is absolutely a pleasure to watch those rivalry games. Just like this one we're getting to witness today.
Yeah, if you take each quarter of this game by itself, 3 so far completely different showcases. Let's see what the 4th has in store.
Dominic Jacobs.
Erickson faking out her defender to get that space on the far side for the score.
The swoopty.
Some quickness to get open up line and then some craftiness almost to stand still into being open in the end zone. Nice little combo here.
Yeah, I believe that was Leander Ramirez with the poise on the end zone to find that space. Just tricking Sherwood a little bit with that inside little shoulder fake and let Erickson get open.
We haven't seen 3 consecutive clean holds, maybe this entire game, but certainly not in a long time.
Not since we were 4-4. We had 4 clean holds each at the beginning, and then chaos after that, which is super fun.
Look where it's brought us, a 1-point game. You'll have to see it.
Clean, dirty, clean.
Uh-huh. We'll take it all here. It's all good.
Eisenbray and Snyder working together. Rafi Hayes getting in the mix. Eisenbray. I love how Eisenbray's form looks the same, whether they're dishing it or hucking it, but that is a huck going up. And the defensive pressure and a little bit behind the receiver of Johnson is a turnover and a big opportunity for Seattle to take a lead with 7.5 minutes on the clock. This inside lane maybe tipped, maybe caused a misread, but difficult to reel in either way. But Seattle squanders it, giving it back to Oregon on the end zone line. Hammer over the top to Snyder.
What is happening? Crazy.
Coming in sharp and hot. Snyder a little shocked himself down there.
I almost can't even finish saying their names. That's how fast we're seeing it, just beyond the fingertips. And it looks like it was Johnson to Snyder for the score.
That was a rough sequence right there for Kaufman.
How do you deal with that, Bobby, if you see that kind of back and forth energy at this point in the game?
Yeah, especially after 3 clean holds. You know, if you're Seattle, you got the turnover, but you know that D-line group needs to make something happen if they want to extend this lead. And you know, completing 0 passes, it just takes some of the wind out of your sails if you're that group. Again, you don't need to get any more breaks to win, but you don't want to have to be perfect the whole way.
Shooting for the end zone into that back corner space.
PGL.
And it is PGL with the score. That stall count was rising. Not able to get it to the handlers, but got it to the end zone instead. We're going to get another look at it here.
Pretty goal, laddie.
Yeah, if you're Portland, you don't hate that you got the stall high and you made him throw something a little challenging, but you're running out of time, and you also don't love that you got scored on in that high pressure situation.
PGL's very a steady cutter. He's been around for multiple of years here in Seattle, so it's not surprising to see him find his way in the end zone.
Yeah, Peter Gertz Larson, better known as PGL, is certainly a fixture in this game, making big plays both ways, and currently giving a slight advantage to Seattle as they are up 18-17. We have just under 7 minutes left of play time.
Yeah, Portland with the only turnover, I think, so far, at least from the offensive side, and here comes another.
Cheryl Sue says, what it do?
Eisenbray trying to unleash there, not really clarity on which receiver it was for, and Seattle going back the other way. Kimber Coles trying to make a play.
Aiden Lopez
but
Escarez.
It is not gonna work.
Chris Roach.
And that is a break for Seattle. A big momentum shift in this moment. Chris Roach has made some very big plays in this game, but this in the end zone, really finding that space. This is, again, a look at that turnover. Cheryl Sue getting in the way of that for Rafi Hayes, but maybe not the best placed disc. And it was this out to the break side, into space for Roach.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Portland. I don't know if that was scripted play or maybe just, you know, players starting to think about the clock ticking down and trying to attack a little earlier, but Cheryl Sue all over that. It was basically thrown right to her.
Yeah, I can't really overstate the impact that Cheryl Sue has had in this game.
Yeah,
cementing as a handler and then really producing assists in that end zone space.
She started the game throwing some of those big huck scores. Then she caught a goal or two there at the end of the half. Now she's getting blocks. She's been huge.
I think the component of like playing mixed, like really like makes it easy for you to jump into this game.
And a miscue for Oregon. Eisenbray can't reel it in. Elmy and righty. Starting it out, John Schneider tries to make a bid, but Seattle gets the back-breaking second break in a row. And that is Kaufman with the score.
Better get a throat lozenge. Lozenge?
Lozenge is the word I think you're looking for. That is a word, and it's Snyder, I think, that maybe wishes he had one more step to leave his feet there, almost able to make a play. We have certainly had a game of momentum shifts here, and this quarter is no exception. We saw Seattle go on a 5-point run in the third quarter, and this is a 3-point run, even though Portland had put up a substantial lead. They are now 3 points ahead. Can Portland come back in the next 5.5 minutes? We'll see. We're on the edge of our seats as we watch this offensive point start.
Yeah,
Literally. Go ahead.
Putting a new group out here, but filled with playmakers and people who will lay out and throw big throws.
Stop on a dime. Excuse me.
And that is just making it look easy on the end zone line, finding open players, eluding the poaches, and that is a well-deserved score there, using the male matching players to get that one. We'll get another look at it as we were back and forth.
I gotta say, I'm kind of liking this 8-on-8 mixed game. I think it makes things like pretty even out there. Like both sides have the same amount of advantage, disadvantage. Like it's the same. It's equal. I like it.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised at how balanced and like regular it feels, but just leaves room for a couple more different things to happen.
Yep.
It's really great.
Exactly, Oregon bringing it back within 2, using that equitable playing style. Now we have Sue back with the disc.
Yeah, this Portland group has not created a lot of defensive pressure, though, this quarter, and that's where this game is going to need to change. It does not look like Seattle's ready to just hand this game away. I think it's going to have to be this Portland D
I've
group.
never known a Seattle team that gives up. They are known for their grittiness. Garrity back to Sue as they march it up the field, using that give and go.
That's that Tempest flow.
Exactly. Sue and Garrity play on different mixed teams, but right now they're the only players playing on this team. It is Sue to Garrity, to Sue to Garrity, and it is Sue to Garrity for the score. That was fun to watch. I also have to respect all the other players keeping their defenders occupied and creating space for that really wonderful run outside the end zone. This is why you practice give and goes. That lefty in there.
I mean, I want to say great switching there by the Portland defense, but each switch, let Sue and Garrity put onto film another way to kind of poke around and beat a switch. You should log that one in your film book for showing all your students that y'all coaching.
Kind of like what Katie was saying, just everybody else kind of like, okay, they're cooking. Let's get out the kitchen,
Exactly. I also think that both of those players are right-handed and threw lefty backhands for that give and go. I'm seeing an increase in lefty backhands across divisions, and I hated it at first, and now I gotta say I love it, giving it that variety of going both directions. In the middle to Kristen Roberts, out to the side to Johnson, to Frainer, Eisenbray. Starting to cook with gas, but slowing down under that defensive pressure. Zajon reeling it in from behind. Ooh. Eisenbray doesn't want to deal with it anymore, and find Roberts in the back of the end zone with that over-the-top blading forehand to a exuberant Roberts.
If you're Seattle, I think you live with that, though. You bottled it up, and then it kind of like broke at the very end, probably like stall 5 or 6. Like, you live with that if you're Seattle.
Yeah, if you look at that whole point back, they're kind of just stuck on the open sideline, and if they have to yank something over the top, you live with that if you have the lead.
You live with it, but maybe you don't like it, because as we continue on, there are 3.5 minutes left in this game. Possession will end. Seattle currently up by 2. Seattle's going to be on offense. So if Oregon is going to break, it has to be now and soon.
Which kind of gives you a little pep in your step if you're on defense, and it creates a new mindset if you're on offense. Do you just try to play catch in the backfield and keep the clock running? Or do you play do what you've been doing that's been working for you?
Jones on Erickson is a fun matchup. Reeling in that bobble, keeping Seattle alive on the sideline. Over the top, a hammer, and it is Deed, giving Oregon the much-needed break chance, but they have 80 yards to go.
Just under 3 minutes now.
Frainer on the far side has Jones going deep. A double team by Seattle, but doesn't seem fazed by it. Off to the sides.
Lenny Ramirez pulls up.
Inside lane to Brian Stout. It is pick the pocket back in Seattle's possession. Almost too smooth for us to notice as it goes to the end zone for a Seattle hold.
Hold on. Accuse. Tarek Accuse comes down.
That was a big play. That D was an absolute run through immediately back to Elmy. It was smooth as butter towards the end zone. All of the space was there for Accuse. And that what could have been a big momentum shift, Seattle slams the door back in Oregon's face.
Yeah, I don't know if it was confusion or fatigue, but as soon as that turnover was caught by the defense, you could see everyone in Portland flat-footed, maybe hands on hips, looking a little tired, hopefully not looking defeated.
Or maybe they were just confused as to why that person was not on their team.
They did make a good cut.
They did make an excellent cut. But Oregon maybe looking flustered. Eisenbray reels it back in. The defensive pressure from Seattle has really ramped up, making these edge grabs. Snyder and Eisenbray kind of back there by themselves. Everybody else far upfield.
Yeah, Portland trying to just isolate who they think their best cutters are, and it's just not working for them right now.
Jones-Baroma matchup has been something I've been watching the whole game.
This might be Rafi Hayes' first touch in this game.
Yeah, Frainer to Hayes. Johnson in the middle. Flicks it out to the far side and finds Hayes. So maybe he's just getting involved, but it's in the end zone for Hayes. Johnson to Hayes for the very important Portland hold as we have 1 minute and 24 seconds on the clock as we come down to the last moments of this Northwest Cup.
Yeah, after this past season of the WUL and AUDL, frankly, it was an important lesson for me to learn that a 2-point lead is so small, even with 84 seconds on the clock. Things happen so quickly in this sport. You can score in one pass from basically anywhere, and I believe there's some timeouts still available out there, so certainly the door is still open here.
I haven't written down any timeouts in this fourth quarter. And that was Sherwood with the pull. We've maybe been remiss in mentioning that it has been alternating pulls, but because the pulls have been so good, we haven't had to call attention to who exactly was pulling. Norris to Kirkland. Kirkland putting it out into space for Garrity. Garrity jumping in. Game officials signal that it's good, and it is that Mix-Seattle connection making itself felt in a very quick, less than 30-second possession.
Yeah, normally you want to milk the clock kind of, but Seattle got their foot on the gas,
It's hard to slow down your momentum when you're having so much fun playing like that. Playing like that looks fun.
Hard to cruise control.
Hard to slow down Lexi Garrity when she's running to the end zone. Stone cold goal scorer.
Absolutely. I think it took her a little bit to find her spacing and momentum in this game. And I think in 8, you would have the deepest cutters maybe have the most difficult job of finding that space, but Garrity seems to have worked it out. Maybe Seattle figuring out that 8-person patterning a little bit better than Oregon at the moment. But they have an offensive possession. It looks like Eisenbray out to Frainer. We've said these names a lot. It looks like Oregon's maybe switched to a same O-line instead of possessing it, but that's Zajon. They are cooking with gas to Snyder and Zajon, and it was too fast. Zajon disappointed. Sue wastes no time. Big flick out to space to Garrity. Hayes in pursuit, but drops off instead. Giving a little give-go back to Garrity's hands, moving in the handler space. Seattle is not willing to just take this lead and let it run out. They want to score. It's very close. It looks right on the end zone line. Garrity just outside, tries to toe it in. Time is running out. And this is a possession game, so I think they were thinking it was a buzzer beater and they could just run it out. But they will have to, in fact, score, and they do with Garrity to Kirkland. The reverse of what they just did, all the way down the end zone to cement Seattle's win of the first Northwest Cup.
Woo! Wow.
It is a final score of 24-20, and if we aren't getting an MVP, I would give it to Alexa Kirkland, because if I am looking at this game, Kirkland, Sue, and Garrity have made themselves felt all over the scoreboard. It was an even effort from both teams at the beginning. Oregon played fantastic defense, but Seattle takes the crown.
Yeah, Portland doing a great job showing who they are, making a ton of huge highlight reel plays. But, you know, filling the highlight reel is different than filling the stat sheet, filling the scoreboard.
We saw maybe a few too many small ball mistakes from the chemistry of Portland, but we're gonna take a quick break as we go here, as we celebrate this cup. We're gonna see the trophy as it comes out in just a minute. Stick with us.
Let's hear it for the inaugural Northwest Cup winners, the Seattle Tempest and the Seattle Cascades.
seeing these teams celebrate, kissing the Northwest Cup. Zig, what does it mean to you to watch your team win this first rivalry game?
It seems about right. I don't know. It's just great to see them out here competing, and yeah.
Did they give you a pause there for a minute?
Oh yeah, I think the experimentation with the formations really helped in the long run in this game, and I think yeah, it worked out for them. Bring it back to the 206. Come on.
At halftime, Portland was up 12-10. Seattle outscoring them to bring it 24-20 at the end of this game. Bobby, what does it mean to you to have it be here in Portland? You think they have some fire for that next inaugural cup?
Yeah, you hate to see your home team lose, but you know it's wonderful to help create this frankly amazing showcase of mixed ultimate, and you know you don't want to see that trophy drive away, but we'll be waiting here, hungry for the next one. Maybe we'll play y'all back up in Seattle next one.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure to be here in Portland on this sunny fall day. We watched some great plays from both sides, male matching and female matching players working together in this mixed matchup, Seattle versus Portland. I am Katie Killebrew, Bobby Goff, and Zig. We are here again for the All-Star Game. Thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure.
206.